All right guys, this week we are reviewing the 2024 Nissan Navara SL Warrior. Now, the SL Warrior is basically the entry level of the Warriors. It's not the Pro 4X with all the nice, comfy luxury features. This is just the car that, to be really honest, I think most four-wheel drive enthusiasts actually want. And for once, a manufacturer has actually delivered a car that's got a little bit of gear on it, but it's the gear that people want and it's quite capable. So let's start with the front. So still powered by a 2.3 litre turbo diesel engine. It is good for 450 Newton meters of torque and 140 kilowatts. Now, some changes with the SL Warrior over the standard SL, but also over just the standard range that are really important to note. So going to the Warrior SL will give you a 30mm wider track than the standard SL. You get a bull bar with an integrated light bar, and it's a hooped bull bar as well. And it's winch compatible, which is more important because a lot of manufacturers nowadays are going for upgraded bull bars as part of their hero or tough cars. And quite often they're not actually winch compatible, and quite often you can't install light bars or actual spotlights on them either. So it's just a really good design overall in that you get an integrated light bar, but you also get a winch compatible bar, which is actually going to be useful. Now, you may have also noticed that this car is sitting a little bit higher than a standard Navara SL, and that's because it's 40mm higher and has toughened and improved suspension. Now, as part of that toughened suspension, you actually get 100 kilos of additional GVM on top of the standard GVM for this car, and your GCM remains unchanged. So that gives it over a 1-ton payload in the back and a 3.5-ton towing capacity. So let's continue going around the body. You get some tough 17-inch wheels and tires, including these Cooper all-terrains, which just give it that tough, aggressive presence. So again, a very good job by Nissan and by Premcar in just coming up with a package that just looks awesome as it just sits and stands. Fog lights integrated into that bull bar, and outside of that you've got black mirrors and black handles because it is an entry-level model that is just meant to get you out and about, exploring, having fun and adventuring. Now, as you can see, there's no side steps on the side, which is part why it looks a little bit higher and a little bit tougher. It is actually 40mm higher though, so it definitely is higher than the standard model. The other more important part as well is that it allows you to customize it with whatever rock sliders you want, or with electronic side steps. Whatever you want to have on it, you can customize it to be your way, instead of having just those flimsy factory side steps that a lot of other four-wheel drives, including other models of the Navara, quite often get. So again, it's been designed with purpose and with practicality for the off-road space. Moving around to the back, you still get those flares. Obviously the tires are the same, so no real differences there. You will notice that this also has the optional roller cover, which is a genuine Nissan accessory. And this is electronic, and it's actually quite cool because you can manually press the buttons on the left-hand side. That will open and close the actual roller cover. Or on the remote control, you can actually press to unlock and to lock the cover as well, and to retract and to extend the cover as well. So again, a lot of functionality and practicality. Makes it super, super simple. The other good part with that as well is it also locks the car. So once you've locked everything, the tailgate is actually locked, which a lot of other brands generally skip the lockable tailgate, and particularly when you have a roller cover. So even though you have a roller cover, it's not really all that concealed or safe because you can still open the tailgate. So another good job there. The rear bar is just a standard plastic rear bar, so you're not going to have any real changes there. The one thing to note though is the tow bar. The tow bar is a redesigned tow bar and crossbar for this particular spec, so the SL Warrior. And the reason for that is it still gives you underneath here a full-size spare wheel. So if you have a look underneath, that will retract, and through this hole down here, the spare tire drops down, but you retain a full-size spare wheel despite the change in the specifications for the tire and rim choices on this car versus the standard SL. So again, attention to detail has been placed all around, and you still have that 3.5-ton towing capacity for this vehicle. So great work there by Premcar and by Nissan in delivering a car that is actually practical. Now, let's move along to the inside, because the inside is where I actually really love this car. Now, with Navaras in general, they are always a comfortable drive, and let's face it, the majority of four-wheel drives, when they go four-wheel driving, will end up just, sand, beach, potentially, some farm work, a little bit of mud kind of play, but they're not really going to extreme four-wheel drive conditions, just generally where a family or you and your friends want to go and explore on a weekend. And that's where I think Nissan has hit the nail on the head with this car. Because once you open up the car, you don't have all of the fancy things that you previously would have in here. So starting with water bottle holders, nice, well placed, easy to load. Wallet can fit there, a little bit of additional storage. But all of this is just your plastic. It's hard plastic, so it is hard wearing. No soft touch materials up here like a lot of other special fancy level utes end up being. And this is just a soft touch cloth insert. So while it's padded enough that it's not going to make your arm uncomfortable if you need to rest it there, it's not overly fancy that it's going to be an absolute pain in turning this car from, a really capable off-roader to potentially just a pavement princess. Moving through to the interior, you'll notice that the flooring has actually been replaced from carpet to vinyl flooring. And although there's these rubber mats on top to make it easier to scoop out or just to lift out and just shake out whatever sand or dust you might have in here, having full vinyl floors means that a day out at the beach in summer is actually still going to be a fun day out, because you can quickly and easily clean out the car at the end of the day, instead of having to go through the effort of getting a brush and trying to get all the muck and mud, sand, everything else out of your standard carpets that would normally be in a four-wheel drive ute. So great work by the team at Nissan in actually removing some of the things that weren't really necessary when you're trying to present a tough, go anywhere four-wheel drive that is more of an adventurous and an off-road spec vehicle. So great job there. Now I'm going to have a seat in the seat and show you some of the other features that we get as well. So moving through to the inside, you get a comfortable but standard steering wheel. So there's no fancy leather, there's no fancy materials, there's no wood grain, there's no vegan leather. You just get a steering wheel, and it's just what I'm guessing a polyurethane steering wheel. So over time, yeah, it might wear and tear, but usually takes quite a lot of time to actually do, and these tend to outlast a lot of the leather and leather look steering wheels, because the wrapping is just kind of wears out because of all the materials that people chuck on their hands, whether it's some of your work chemicals or whether you lend it to your missus and she has moisturizer on her hands. So that, I think, is, again, just the simplicity of it is actually quite nice in a time where a lot of cars are becoming overly complicated and trying to be way too fancy for what they're trying to actually do. Indicators on the right hand side, you do have the fanciness of auto on and off headlights, but outside of that, they don't do anything else on the right hand side. They're not matrix, they're not fancy, they're not going to light up on the left side and turn the right side off. They are just headlights, simple. High beam works the same way. Wipers on the left hand side, and you don't get auto on and off wipers, they're just manual. So again, one less thing to worry about in the overall side of things with that side. Now you do have a combination of a digital and an analog display in the center here. So you will get some information such as a digital speed readout and also analog speed readouts from the side as well. But you're not going to end up in a scenario where you're going to have a full digital display that potentially may have some issues long term. Mirrors as well, again, twist it left, twist it right, adjust it to toggle it, but you're not going to have a mirror that is auto folding. So again, nice and simple. And your light bar switch for the front is just located here. So you just turn it on and off, and it's activated through the high beam like you need to. Stability control down here, trip reset and brightness illumination for the display. And the steering wheel has some adjustment, but it is a little bit limited. So you do have your tilt basically, but you don't have a reach. So that is the one disappointing thing with the Navara SL in the Warrior, that you just still only retain that tilt feature. And While you can get comfortable, sometimes it would be nice to be able to sit a little bit further back where your legs might want you to be, and actually be able to adjust the steering wheel so that your arms can be comfortable too. Talking about the seat, it's just cloth, and the adjustments are basically just your manual levers. So you can pump yourself up to be a little bit taller if you're a short king, pump yourself down if you're a tall king, and on the right hand side here, just pull that lever and that will get you backwards and forwards for the backrest. No fancy electronics, just basic everyday seating. Outside of that, let's have a look at what you get in the center. So come round and we'll show you through the middle here. Now, despite my doctor's orders, I've got myself a Coke, and look, let's face it, those cup holders, they're actually perfect. There's no fancy cup holders in front of the air conditioning vents. They're just down here. That being said, when they are in front of the aircon vents, they are quite handy, so I'm not knocking it. It's just, there's 2 practical ones here and that's all you need. There are 3 blanks down here for switches. So if you do want to remove anything and place maybe an aerial, maybe you want to have a couple of additional spotlights, some floodlights around the side, the back, wherever you want, or potentially you're plugging in your own portable Starlink system if you want to be a little bit fancy at your campsite, you can plug it in all through here. There's a little bit of additional storage pockets just here on the side in true Nissan Navara fashion. Those there would just, if you're charging your phone or any other devices. Plus there is a little bit of storage here, although it's a little bit of an awkward size for anything that you would have, except maybe your mobile phone. And as I found out yesterday, a sandwich. Transmission, 7-speed automatic transmission. It is a Tiptronic, so you can have a bit of manual control with it and move it to the left and right and play around with it, or just have it in drive and just drive. Center here, full digital display, and it has Apple CarPlay and Android Auto, and it is pretty responsive, and I actually quite like this platform and the system that Nissan uses because it actually works, and it's not quite as small as some of the other platforms, but it's also not quite as big as some of the others. It's just the nice size that you need for this interior cabin so that it doesn't look like there's an iPad hanging out of your car. Aircon vents directly where you need them to make sure that you're going to get air in all the right places. And air conditioning is this really cool, technologically advanced manual 4-position air conditioning. It's basically the air conditioning that I grew up in back in the day, and most of you young kids probably haven't seen in quite a while. But turn it left and it goes to really blue, and basically anywhere from really blue to really red, you're gonna have somewhere between cold and very hot depending on the months that you wanna have it in. Fan speeds is just 1, 2, 3, 4 or off, and your position is again a manual turning dial. So having that basic manual setup is actually quite refreshing in a day and age where things get a bit complicated. The one thing I will note with that, because believe it or not, I have had a girlfriend in the past, and sometimes they've been colder than I have or hotter than I have. So having dual zone climate control is sometimes quite handy. This is a no compromise type air conditioning, so just be aware of that. If you need that compromised air conditioning, you may need to opt for a higher spec level in this car. Your 4-wheel drive switches are all electronic, and it's just a dial down here. So 2-wheel drive, 4 high, 4 low, all through here. Your rear diff lock and your downhill assist control buttons are both located there, plus 1 additional blank just there in case you need to do a CB radio or anything else that you really want to have plugged in through there. 12-volt outlet down here and glove box down here. Outside of that, sunglass holders up here and a couple of little map lights just there. That's basically it, and that's all you get. A little pocket there that has a little bit of storage, and no mirror. No mirror over here either. It's just a basic work ute, and also a fun ute for the weekend. I actually really like this car, and I really want to know what you think in the comment section. So make sure you leave a comment in the comment section, and also check out our link, because we're launching a couple of exciting partnerships where if you are in the market to buy a new car or to finance a car, we can help you out with both, not through us directly, but through some of our partners that have offered some generous discounts for you guys that are watching at home. So make sure you keep an eye out on our link, and it will have all the information you need to know. Let's check out the back. Now, in the back of the Navara SL Warrior, it is just like every other Navara. Room is actually not too bad. If you have your seat the whole way back and with the backrest heading further back, You'll still have a little bit of space, but it will be a little bit tight for your knees. For me on this side, I'm fine. There's leg room and foot room underneath the seat as well. It is a little bit narrower than some of the bigger utes that are coming out, so just be mindful if you have 3 chunky friends like me in the back, it will be a little bit comfortable. Aircon vents in the back, which is super handy, plus 1 power outlet there for USB. And it is fast charging as well, which makes it super handy to get your device powered up. This really weird slot down here that I still can't work out what it's meant to have in there, other than potentially crumbs or cookie crumbs, because it doesn't really fit anything. There's no phone, like if you try to put your phone in there, if you try to put anything in there, nothing holds. And if you put a pen in there, it's too short for a pen. So I'm not quite sure what that was designed to carry or to have, and if you know, let me know in the comment section, because I sure as hell do not know. Up the top, you've got the all-important handles, so when your friends are driving terribly, you'll be able to hold on for your dear life. Vinyl floors carry along into the back, which makes it an absolute breeze as a driver, because when you finish your nice four-wheel drive adventure and none of your friends are helping you clean up, it's not going to take you all that long to just sweep that out and maybe wipe it over to get rid of any mud, and you're going to be good as gold. Down here, armrest with cup holders, and it's all padded and cloth as I mentioned earlier. But if you are needing a little bit of additional space for child seats, make sure that the child seats do fit in the back, because as you can see with the seat the whole way back, it can be a little bit restricted for space if you have a bigger child seat, and that is just normal for utes and big child seats. So make sure you just get a dealer that's happy to let you fit one into the car and test it out just to make sure it's going to be okay. You do have ISOFIX points on the left and the right hand side of the back 2 seats, and you do have 3 top tethers. So across all of the outer 2 seats, you will be able to put the top tethers directly there. And a couple of things that are not in this car that if you have an older Navara, you would have noticed no longer come in the Navara SL. And that is the floor cup holders, which is good because they used to break, and the sliding back window, which is not so good because if you had a doggo in the back, it probably was a little bit handy. You do still have the safety of all of your airbags around, from front airbags to curtain airbags to side airbags, so you're good to go. And outside of that, the car itself is just a very comfortable place to be. I've done about 1,000 Ks in this car just to test out if it was comfortable, if it drove any different, or if it just was nice compared to some of the utes we've been testing recently. So I highly recommend that if you are after just a car that Monday to Friday is almost like a daily and a commuter, and then on the weekends you're going to end up going out and exploring or having your beach days with your mates, definitely have a look at one of these, because I think this is definitely a great option for most people that don't want to spend huge amounts of money on features that they don't necessarily need, but are quite comfortable at spending a reasonable amount of money on a car that is ready to go for their adventures. The only thing I would suggest that you maybe put, if you're going to constantly be carrying sand inside or getting wet, is maybe some harder wearing seat covers. But the vinyl floors just make maintenance of this car an absolute breeze. You've got some good all-terrains that are ready on the car. You've got a bar on it that's ready to go. You've got all the things that you need to just get out there and start exploring. So have a look. Let me know in the comment section what you think of the Nissan Navara SL Warrior. And until next time, catch you next time.